Hello, this is Adam Aparyan from the Armenian National Committee of America with two significant updates, both dealing with the situation in Artsakh, one very directly and one less directly, but both significant. Let me start with the more immediate concern, which is that we're all familiar with Turkey's deployment of drones against Artsakh and Armenia. They have provided some of the most advanced drones in their arsenal, the NATO arsenal, even Western arsenals, to Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has deployed them with lethal effect against civilians in Stepanakert, other population centers, killing civilians, killing soldiers. And we know that also that Canada was able, a couple of weeks back on October 5th, to ban all arms sales to Turkey, which in a sense blocks arms sales or transfers to Azerbaijan. That was a great step by the Canadian Armenian community, by the Armenian National Committee of Canada, which then had its impact here in Washington, D.C., and a very significant impact. And that is that a Canadian company called Westcam provides the drone sensors, the optics, the thermal imaging and laser designation technology on these drones, these Turkish drones. So, having had their Canadian sourcing blocked, the Turkish government immediately turned to the U.S. and has made requests of Northrop Grumman, Lockheed, Raytheon, other firms that are in this field, made requests of them for the U.S. government to allow export licenses so that Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and others can sell these weapons, these components, these military components to Turkey. Those requests are pending right now. And we need to stop them. And that's an urgent task before us. We just wrote a letter to Assistant Secretary Cooper from the Bureau of Political and Military Affairs, putting him on notice that we know that these weapons are being used to kill Armenians, and we expect him to reject any new requests for licenses. That's one piece of the puzzle. And you can support that by going to anca.org/export control, anca.org/export control. You can, from that site, send an email to the administration, a part of the administration at the Defense Department that deals with this type of transfer and sale. And also, you can make an automated phone call. We'll connect you directly to that office. They have their voicemail is filled up repeatedly over the last week as we've had this alert going. But as they empty it, look for an opportunity, leave your message. If you can't leave a message, just do the email part of it. But certainly, if you can leave a message, leave a message. They have gotten literally thousands of phone calls, and as they should. This is an outrage. So that's one piece of the puzzle, is what are we doing to stop any new weapons flowing from the U.S. to Turkey, which in turn will then be provided to Azerbaijan? That's number one. Number two is, and this is very new information, there's evidence from the battlefield that Turkish drones, in the part of the drone, in the optic system of the drone, the sensor part of the drone, that is Canadian produced, there are in fact U.S. components and U.S. technology. Our information right now is that there's Northrop Grumman, U.S. produced Northrop Grumman hardware in Turkish drones that are given to Azerbaijan that have been used to kill Armenians. That is a moral outrage, but it's also a violation of U.S. arms export control law and other statutes that govern how we deal with arms sales and transfers, and how we allow third-party transfers within NATO, outside of NATO. It's a complex legal landscape, but nonetheless, the lines have been crossed. If this evidence is true, and we have every reason to believe that the evidence is true, then we need to press this as hard as we can. We need to demand an investigation by the Department of Defense, by the Department of State, maybe outside experts as well, into how is it possible that U.S. components, that Turkey, Azerbaijan, and others, maybe even U.S. exporters, could have so grievously violated U.S. law, so profoundly undermined U.S. Values, right, to allow Azerbaijan to kill Armenian civilians, Armenian kids, moms, dads, children. It's simply unacceptable. That's a red line. None of us can accept that. You need to weigh in today. Go to anca.org/export control. Follow the work that we're doing. Share that information. We recently posted the text of a letter that we sent the State Department on the subject. Share that as widely as you can. Post it, comment on it, retweet it, share it, do what you need to do. Adi Meg. That's first. there is a second development that happened just a few moments ago that is not quite as directly tied to the situation on the ground, but speaks, I think, to the environment we're operating in. And let me explain. America, as you know, was bullied into a century of silence on the Armenian genocide. That was in the form of the executive branch remaining quiet, not honestly remembering this crime, Congress until very recently, not really, just putting the nail in the coffin of genocide denial and forthrightly recognizing the Armenian genocide and in an equally forthright manner rejecting the denial of that crime. So for too long, we were bullied into silence. And that extended through so many parts of our government. Certainly the executive branch, the White House, Pentagon, State Department, and for too long, Congress. Congress is now on the right side of the issue, which is good. A part of Congress, the Library of Congress, had adopted a policy that was very, I think, very out of date, very, I would say, obsolete and misguided in many ways. They cataloged books on the Armenian genocide, many with the word Armenian genocide in the title. They cataloged them under the phrase Armenian massacres. Now, when the phrase Armenian massacres was first used, maybe a century ago or more, we can understand. It's an innocent phrase that was meant to shed light on what was happening. The word genocide had not yet been coined, so it wasn't a euphemistic effort to evade the truth. It was just the best description that was available. But after Raphael Lemkin, coined the word genocide, after the UN passed the Genocide Convention, after it became clear from Lemkin and others that the Armenian genocide was a classic, prototypical, tragic case of genocide, then that transition should have taken place. And that could have taken place in the late 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. During all those years, one of the excuses that came out of the Library of Congress was, well, the Congress itself hasn't spoken on the issue in a really definitive manner. And then last year, less than a year ago, the Congress did. The House and Senate very nearly unanimously passed recognition of the Armenian genocide. So, we, the ANC, got right on it very soon. I mean, very soon after the House passed the resolution, even before the Senate passed the resolution, we got, in touch with the library. We did it through the official channels. We did it through letters. We did it through other means, including through our legislative friends. And we made the case that, well, now that Congress is on the right side of the issue, the Library of Congress, as a legislative branch agency, should move to that right side as well. And we received, I would describe it as a bizarre response, saying, well, it's not really up to the library shouldn't respond to the Congress. The library should respond to the State Department and White House, which doesn't make any sense because, our Constitution has three co-equal branches of government. And as it turns out, the Library of Congress falls under the Congress. It is not the Library of the State Department. It is not the Library of the White House. It is the Library of Congress. And Congress is 100% on the right side of this issue today. So to kind of, long story short, very dear and powerful friends of the Armenian American community, I would even say friends of the truth, friends of knowledge. Adam Schiff, Congressman Adam Schiff on the House side, joined by Congressman Speer and Pallone and Congressman Dina Titus, who did remarkable work. We're joined by Senator Menendez, another powerful believer in U.S. recognition of the Armenian genocide. He was joined by the minority leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, and many others, including Kamala Harris. And between the House and the Senate, and a lot of pressure, a lot of letters, a lot of meetings, bottom line, earlier today, it was announced that the Library of Congress will, in fact, be switching from the now euphemistic phrase Armenian massacres to the accurate phrase Armenian genocide. That means when somebody, a 9-year-old or a 90-year-old, goes into the system and types in the name of a book, let's say, or they type in Armenian genocide, they don't get kicked over to Armenian massacres. It's not like they're not playing word games with us. Researchers can research and students can learn, and all things are right in that world. And that's a great tribute, I think, to everyone who joined in the ANCA effort, everyone who sent letters and commented on the Library of Congress system. All those inputs added up. Certainly the role of Congress, the Library of Congress, right? So the members of Congress weighed in very powerful ways. Major thanks to Congressman Titus for doing a congressional letter, for Congressman Adam Schiff for leading a congressional meeting. These leaders, Congressman Speer, Congressman Pallone, many others, certainly Senator Menendez, they went to bat. They stood on the side of truth. They were persistent. They were patient. They were very professional. They addressed this issue on the academic merits. Nobody here was looking for a favor. This is not a political judgment at all. The best decision for the library, for its readers, for its researchers, is an honest description of what happened. And that's the Armenian genocide. It's not only historically correct, it's also the word or the phrase that will help people, the users, the customers of the library. The good news now, and I consider this like profoundly good news, is that the Library of Congress system is not just used by the Library of Congress, but by thousands of library systems across America and around the world. Now, that change, the change that we're announcing today, will cascade through those thousands of systems, and then through those systems, through the countless readers, the countless researchers who use libraries all over the world. And they will now not have the indignity of having to research terms that are euphemistic and outdated, and certainly meant, at least in modern usage, more to conceal the truth than reveal it. The Armenian genocide is a phrase that will lead people to knowledge. The phrase Armenian massacre in the modern context, the modern usage, given decades of Turkish denial, that's really a euphemism meant to conceal the truth. So how does this connect to Artsakh? It's not very direct, but it's nonetheless really significant. We have been held hostage by Turkey and more recently by Azerbaijan in so many ways. U.S. policy, certainly on Armenian issues, was outsourced. It's outsourced to Ankara, it's outsourced to Baku. Baku gets to decide who gets to visit Artsakh. They get to decide if we get to demine Artsakh. They get to decide if we're going to deploy gunfire locators. They get a veto on so many aspects, the common sense things that America should be doing regarding the Artsakh peace process. And Turkey similarly has gotten a veto on U.S. policy on the Kurds, U.S. policy on Cyprus, U.S. policy certainly on the Armenian genocide, and now U.S. policy on Artsakh. Now, our effort, and it's been a long-standing effort, one that has spanned decades, our effort has been to break that grip, to rip that their hands off of the steering wheel and say American policy must be decided in America. We're not going to have policies decided in Ankara or Baku, exported to the U.S., and then enforced by American presidents. That's beneath our dignity as a great nation, and it's certainly not something that we will ever abide. We will not. And I think today we marked a significant move in the right direction. We sent a signal that one of the great American institutions will not be held hostage to foreign pressure, malign foreign influence, but rather will be guided by the facts, guided by the truth, guided by the American people, right, through their elected representatives, through an act of Congress. So it connects to the Artsakh thing in that we're breaking that grip. It is a long struggle, and it is in many ways a David versus Goliath struggle, highly asymmetrical. You have our community, and God bless us all. We are all shoulder to the wheel, but we're facing very, very powerful countries with state budgets, with geopolitical leverage, with vast resources, and the ability to exercise economic and other geopolitical leverage. But the fact of the matter is, we marked a big win on that front today, and we have to press forward and continue. Never, we can pat ourselves on the back for about half a second, but the very next breath is, and how do we leverage this to do more and more and more? How do we stop those arms sales? How do we break the grip of Turkey and Azerbaijan over U.S. policy, certainly on Artsakh and more broadly on all Armenian issues? I want to share these two updates with you today. I'll just wrap up, for those of you who are just joining now, real quickly. We have evidence that U.S. components have been found in Turkish drones that have killed Armenian civilians in Artsakh and possibly Armenia. So that's number one. That's a serious moral issue, but more immediately, potential violation of U.S. law. And we take that as serious as a heart attack. That is not something we will accept. Never. That's a red line. How do you make? That's number one. Number two, Library of Congress, after years of effort by the ANCA, announced today that the subject heading Armenian massacres, which is euphemistic in its modern usage, will be shifted over to Armenian genocide, which is the accurate term for researchers and readers at the Library of Congress and all libraries. So with that said and done, I will check in with you a little bit later, but I do want to share these two significant updates. We welcome your feedback, offer your comments on this video. If you are getting letters back from members of Congress, and we are receiving dozens, even sometimes over 100 per day from different legislators answering your inquiries, send them to us at anca@anca.org. We monitor and read carefully every single letter. Where we feel that legislators are on the right track, we offer positive feedback. Where they take an artificially neutral stance, we do our best to educate the offices about what's really happening on the ground. And for those who just send form letters, we tell them to up their game and start, answering the content of your inquiries, not simply the fact that you wrote a letter. So please do continue sharing those. It's a really busy day. I do expect to check in at least one more time later today, but proud to serve with all of you. Thank you. Keep up the work.